All right, let's dive into one of history's most famous and most unbelievable fun facts. It's the story of how a single world-altering decision wasn't made by a general or a king, but supposedly by a hungry assassin just trying to grab a bite to eat.
So, picture this. It's June 28, 1914. 2 bullets are fired in Sarajevo, and they strike Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the entire Austro-Hungarian throne. And this one moment, this assassination, is what pretty much everyone points to as the single spark that ignited the 20th century's worst catastrophes. And what a catastrophe it was. We're talking about a chain reaction that led to an estimated 80 million deaths. That single assassination led to a declaration of war, which then triggered this complex web of alliances, and boom, you've got 2 world wars, revolutions, and the rise of totalitarian regimes. It was, without a doubt, the flashpoint of the century. And here's the story you've probably heard, maybe in history class. A tale of such unbelievable coincidence that it just has to be true, right? The logic seems so simple and clean. No sandwich, no assassination. No assassination, no World War I. So let's break down exactly how this incredible story is told, because honestly, it's the specific details that make it so powerful and so believable. It really is a perfect storm of pure chance. Just look at this timeline. At 10:10 a.m., the first assassination attempt, a grenade attack, totally fails. By 10:45, the whole plot seems like a bust, so our assassin, Gavrilo Princip, gives up and decides to get a sandwich. But then, the Archduke changes his plans, his driver takes a wrong turn, and by 10:55, the car stalls out by sheer dumb luck, right in front of the one person on Earth who still wanted to kill him. And the story places Princip right here, at this very spot, Moritz Schiller's delicatessen. He steps out, sandwich in hand, looks up, and there, just feet away, is the heir to the empire, a total sitting duck. This quote just perfectly captures the drama of it all. I mean, the fate of empires, the lives of millions of people, all hanging in the balance, decided by a completely random lunch break. That half-eaten sandwich becomes this tragic symbol of a world that was about to vanish forever. It is a fantastic story. It really is. It makes history feel random, faithful, and, even a little absurd. But as compelling as it is, we have to ask ourselves a pretty simple question. Does a simple sandwich really hold the key to the First World War? Is this incredible tale of coincidence and a history-altering lunch actually true? Well, here's the thing. When you start actually digging into the historical records, a huge problem pops up almost immediately. You'd be very, very hard-pressed to find anyone mentioning this fateful sandwich in any account written before the 21st century. This famous little detail is suspiciously new. So, let's put on our detective hats for a second and unpack the evidence. Because when you start to look at the actual facts, that whole random coincidence narrative starts to look a lot more like a plan. Okay, first, let's talk about the location. The myth suggests this was just some random spot Princip chose for a snack. But the reality is completely different. The deli was on Franz Joseph Street, which was part of the Archduke's original publicly announced route. The driver's famous wrong turn actually took the car off the new improvised route and put it right back onto the one the assassins had planned for all along. Princip wasn't lucky. He was waiting exactly where he was supposed to be. But here's the real nail in the coffin for the whole sandwich story, the primary sources. We have the court transcripts from Princip's trial. And you know what they say about a sandwich? Absolutely nothing. Zip. Nada. Princip himself never mentioned it. Witnesses standing right next to him never mentioned it. In fact, one witness saw Princip holding his pistol, ready to go, but no sandwich. Oh, and the time, just before 11 a.m. Kinda early for lunch, don't you think? And there's one last little cultural clue that's kind of fascinating. The sandwich, as we know it, is a quintessentially Anglo-American food, named for this guy, the 4th Earl of Sandwich. It was a convenience food that took a really long time to catch on across Europe. So the idea of a delicatessen in Sarajevo just casually serving one up in 1914 is, historically speaking, pretty darn unlikely. Okay, so if the story isn't true and the evidence says it's not, then why is it so popular? Why do we all want to believe that a simple sandwich could change the entire world? The answer really is that we're human. Our brains are wired to look for patterns and simple stories. The actual causes of World War I are incredibly complex. It's this huge tangle of nationalism, imperialism, alliances. It's messy.
But a story about a sandwich? That's simple. It provides a single, easy-to-understand, almost fateful explanation for a horrifying, chaotic war. It turns a geopolitical catastrophe into a story about good and bad luck. And this slide really says it all, doesn't it? On the left, you have the romantic, colorful legend we tell ourselves. It's a story. And on the right, you have the grim, heartbreaking, black and white truth. We often prefer the story on the left simply because it's easier to digest. Ultimately, the myth of Princip's sandwich is just a powerful reminder to always question the stories we're told, no matter how neat or how satisfying they might seem. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other historical facts that we all take for granted are actually just great stories, repeated so many times that they've started to feel true?